Hello, YouTubers, friends, compatriots. Bootlicker Shills necessarily serves peasants, vassals, chimeras, parahumans, transhumans. I'm a useful idiot. And today I want to talk about a topic that's fairly creepy, and that's this whole idea of animal-human hybrids. And I brought this up once before in a video I did about experiments going on at DARPA, and they are creating strange organisms under the DARPA umbrella. But this whole idea of animal-human hybrids is something that's going on all over the globe, and in dark labs, some visible to the public and some not. But a lot of strange things are going on, so I kind of want to do a roundup of what these things are that are going on. And as we can suspect from everything else that goes on in the world, there's little bits and pieces of things that we're seeing on the surface, and these are the stories that are available to us. But then there's a whole level of a shadow science industry that is underground, and who knows what kind of experiments are going on under there. If it can be done, it will be done, and therefore we can assume there are some very sinister and insane things going on in secret labs all over the globe. And just the fact that we have these various branches of animal-human hybrid thought and augmentation of humans, including genetic alterations experiments that are being done on DARPA to create super soldiers. But then we have a category now known as parahumans, which is very disturbing in its own right. The fact that there's supposedly a parallel race of animal-human hybrids being created, as well as chimeras, which is just another name for an animal-human hybrid, and then transhumanism, which has more to do with augmentation and genetic alteration, but also biotechnological alterations and technology used to enhance human performance. But let's get into some of the details, as I like to say, the gruesome details. As it turns out, there's all kinds of different kinds of experiments going on all over the world in animal-human hybrids as well. Scientists have created a genetically engineered mouse that has artificial human chromosomes in every cell of its body. So to continue to call it a mouse is misleading when it has human material in its chromosomes in every single one in its body. And researchers at the University of Wisconsin have successfully transferred cells from human embryos into the brains of mice. And so they would damage one part of the brain of a mouse and then reinsert human DNA, and then finding out that not only did the mouse brains repair, but the mice became actually smarter. And these are similar experiments going on at the University of Rochester. And that also brings up another idea that I talked about as well, and that's the fact that we have these universities and public money, and federal money, going to fund these projects, and the results end up in the weapons industry or some other private hands. But that's a topic I've already covered, and we'll attach that video. Then in Japan, we have them systematically growing human organs inside of pigs within this year. So they will start harvesting human organs out of pigs sometime in 2013, 2014. And back in 2011, UK scientists came out and admitted that they had created more than 150 different human-animal hybrid embryos, theoretically quickly destroying them. But just the fact that creatures created out of 150 human-animal hybrid embryos just 2 years ago didn't make major headlines. It's a commentary on our society in general. Then we have Chinese scientists embedded genes for human milk proteins into a mouse's genome and have since created herds of humanized milk-producing goats. So just as we have pigs that will have human organs that can be harvested, we're now going to get human milk from goats. And then we have a University of Michigan have a procedure where they actually attached an anal sphincter from a human into a mouse, and so they can study incontinence and things like that. Seems like an awful far way to go in order to study something so mundane. And scientists have also been applying human immune systems in animals, um, once again to study the reactions of diseases. And then we have a whole plethora of these cross-fertilizations going on. We have rabbit eggs with human cells. We have pigs with human blood. We have sheep with human livers. We have cow eggs with human cells. And we have cat-human hybrid proteins. So there's all sorts of cross-referencing of human material and animal material going on. And in fact, in the UK in 2008, they had a piece of legislation called the Human Fertilization Embryology Act, and it legalized the creation of a lot of these hybrids. So while in the United States there's been a resistance to this sort of science, around the world we're finding more and more scientific communities are more than receptive to this kind of research. So in the UK, they legalized the creation of a variety of hybrids, including an animal egg fertilized by human sperm. And even though over the last few years there's been a lot of ethical questions brought up about doing such a thing, they are legalized, at least in the UK, and I'm sure in a lot of places in the world. So they're actually fertilizing animal eggs with human sperm and creating cybrids, that's what they call them, which a human nucleus is implanted into an animal cell, and chimeras, in which human cells are mixed with animal embryos. So this cross-referencing and juxtaposition of human and animal materials reaching very, very sophisticated levels, and who knows what kind of things they're going to unleash. And there's been debate all along. A good example of that is the Reuters article from November 9, 2009. It said that scientists want to debate on animals with human genes, and in fact they're already setting up a legal apparatus for what kind of laws will apply to these parahumans, these chimeras, and these transhumans. And interestingly enough, in that Reuters article, the piece asks, a mouse that can speak, a monkey with Down syndrome, dogs with human hands and feet. British scientists want to know if such experiments are acceptable. I found that rather disturbing that they would include that in that article and use those specific examples. So are we to assume that this animal-human hybrid experimentation has created mice that can speak, monkeys with Down syndrome, and dogs with human hands and feet? Considering the kind of cross-referencing and materials that we've seen so far, that certainly is not out of the question. And in fact, apparently, scientists in general are now comfortable with up to 50-50 human-animal integration. And I don't even want to imagine what kind of creatures we're going to find revealed at some point, that their integration is 50% animal, 50% human. And the article implies that not all this work is at the embryonic level. And so we go from one level of disturbing to another. The article implies that not all work is at the embryonic level, and that fully mature monstrosities are quietly understudied. So once again, that reinforces the idea that, do we have monkeys with Down syndrome? Do we have dogs with human hands and feet? And what kind of other fully mature monstrosities are we talking about? What kind of crossbreeding was involved in the UK? Like I say, when we talk about back in 2011, they admitted to creating more than 150 human-animal hybrid embryos, and what resulted from that. We get sort of a clue going all the way back actually to 1998, March 27, 1998. There was a Discovery Channel special that was focused on the primate study center in Georgia, and they said they actually created a chimpanzee human hybrid that was so disturbing that they supposedly immediately destroyed it. Although I'd have a hard time believing that they could resist not doing that again. But imagine a creature that was created, this half chimpanzee and half human being. It just boggles the mind. And as one scientist put it, and this is certainly the most believable thing, that is a good umbrella for everything I'm talking about right now, is that, quote, some scientists in some places want to push boundaries, unquote. And that's a pretty good assumption about the scientific community and what they would be interested in doing. particularly with the level of technology that we have now. So once again, I say, what kind of creatures are being created? And in fact, in July 2011, it reached levels after the revealing that there was 150 human-animal hybrid embryos created. Britain's Academy of Medical and Sciences recommended a significant increase in international monitoring, being aware that experimentation completely unmonitored was going on all over the globe. And that includes extensive brain modification of animals and cross-fertilization of animal and human material, including fertilizing animal eggs with human sperm and fertilizing animal eggs with human sperm and vice versa. And then we also have cellular and genetic modifications. As I mentioned, this stuff is coming so far along that the legal groundwork is already being laid for how laws will apply to these hybrids. So, in the grand scheme of things, obviously, just like everything else, as one YouTuber brought up at one point, and this is a good axiom, is just because it can be done doesn't mean it should be done. And this kind of experimentation, just like so much else we see in the world, is opening doors that perhaps can never be closed again. It's something we should be worried about. So, and the bottom line here for me is a number of things. We have the arrogance of the state, for one thing, feeling like it has every right to pursue this sort of diabolical experimentation. And then we have the corruption of science going hand in hand with the arrogance of the state. Once again, thinking that just because it's science, that all boundaries should be pushed, regardless of what the consequences of these actions are. And as we find nuclear energy and viruses and bacteria and genetically modified crops and cross-referencing animal and plant material and animal and human and plant material, we're opening all kinds of doors that can perhaps not be shut. It's something we should really be concerned about. And then we have, of course, as usual, the same bad actors that are involved in the military-industrial complex, involved in this shadow science community. And they can act with impunity, and there are no limitations on what they are doing. And also, like I say, this goes back to that whole public school, private government reaping the benefits. So we have all this experimentation going on, and federal money and taxpayer money, public money, all going to schools that will produce material based on these animal-human hybrids, and then that will become private companies' gold mine or some kind of new weapon systems for the government. So, needless to say, not a win-win situation for people in general. So anyway, there's a little peek into a very, very sinister world going on out there. Massive animal-human hybrid experimentation going on all over the globe with little oversight, little impunity, and very few hurdles. And apparently the ethics and the morality of it are melting away as more and more strange things are being pursued. So there we have it. I'll attach my earlier video on DARPA and its experiments in animal-human hybrids below, as well as some other links. And something to keep an eye on. At some point we're going to see some results of this. Very strange things have already leaked out over the years. We have sheep that glow down Latin America, and we have mice with human ears attached to them. But we're going to see far stranger before this is all over. I'm Useful Idiot. Don't you be one too. And remember, if I agreed with you, then we'd both be wrong.